A cruise ship at night is one of the loneliest places on Earth. Thousands of people sleeping in identical cabins, surrounded by steel and glass, floating on water so deep that if you fell, recovery might never be possible. The ocean doesn't care about witnesses. It doesn't care about cameras. And when someone vanishes from a modern cruise ship surrounded by crew and passengers, the question isn't just how, it's why does it keep happening? This is an investigation into 4 disappearances that still don't add up. 4 people who stepped onto cruise ships as passengers or crew and never came home. Amy Lynn Bradley, George Smith IV, Rebecca Coriam, Merrian Carver. Their cases span 13 years. Different ships, different oceans, different circumstances, but the same reality. When you vanish at sea, answers, if they exist at all, can remain out of reach. Let's start with something most people don't think about when they book a cruise. The ocean can erase evidence. A cruise ship keeps moving. Currents keep moving. Weather keeps moving. If someone goes overboard and isn't noticed quickly, the ship may already be far from the point where it happened. Currents can move a person. Waves can scatter items. Salt water can degrade evidence. And at night, out in the open ocean, there may be no light, no landmarks, and no easy way to lock in an exact position. Search and rescue professionals often emphasize that the earliest window matters most. But here's the problem. On a cruise ship carrying thousands of people, how long does it take to realize someone is missing? Between 2009 and 2019, a report compiled for the cruise industry documented 212 overboard incidents. 170 people died, 48 were rescued. The report notes that when a cause can be established, it's often intentional or connected to reckless behavior, but some incidents cannot be assigned a motive. Those are the ones that stay in people's minds, because when there's no clear reason, when the circumstances don't fit, you're left with questions that don't resolve. Now let's move through 4 disappearances, one by one. March 24th, 1998. Amy Lynn Bradley is 23 years old. She's on a Caribbean cruise with her family, aboard Royal Caribbean's Rhapsody of the Seas. The ship is traveling in international waters, en route to Curaçao. It's the early morning hours. Amy's father sees her on the balcony of their cabin. He later says she was speaking with a crew member. He goes back to sleep. When the family wakes up a few hours later, Amy is gone. In many retellings of the case, people mention personal items left behind in the cabin, as if she stepped away and never returned. But the confirmed core is simpler and harder. Amy disappeared from the ship. The FBI would later list Amy Lynn Bradley as missing, and more than 2 decades later, she still is. Here's where it gets complicated. Amy's family believes she didn't fall overboard. They believe she was abducted. Over the years, there have been alleged sightings, a woman matching Amy's description in different places, but none have been confirmed as definitive proof. And when a disappearance happens in international waters, jurisdiction becomes a problem. Which country investigates? The country where the ship is registered, the country the passenger is from, the country whose waters the ship was near. Sometimes the answer is complicated. And while agencies coordinate, time keeps moving. July 5th, 2005. George Smith IV is on his honeymoon. He's 26 years old, traveling with his new wife, aboard Royal Caribbean's Brilliance of the Seas. The ship is in the Mediterranean, approaching the coast of Turkey. It's the early morning hours. By sunrise, George is missing. Public reporting describes an investigation that focused on the area near and below the cabin, and it also describes conflicting accounts of what happened leading up to his disappearance. The ship docks in Kuşadası, Turkey. An investigation begins, but George Smith's body is never recovered, and without a body, without definitive physical proof, the case becomes harder to settle. Public reporting has long debated 2 broad possibilities: an accident, or foul play. Some accounts focus on intoxication and risk-taking. Other accounts emphasize contradictions and the possibility of a struggle. But the dispute remains because the ocean offers no confirmation, and that raises a difficult question. How many maritime cases become unsolvable, not because no one looked, but because the environment makes certainty almost impossible? Let me ask you something. Have you ever stood on the deck of a cruise ship? At 3 in the morning, the ship's lights reflect on the water near the hull. Beyond that, it can feel like nothing but black. The engines hum under your feet, a constant mechanical vibration, and out there, past the reach of the ship's glow, there's only water, miles and miles of it. And if someone goes into the ocean unnoticed, by the time anyone realizes, the ship may already be far away. That's not poetic, it's logistical. And it's one reason these cases are so hard to solve. March 22nd, 2011. Rebecca Coriam is 24 years old. She's a crew member aboard Disney Wonder. The ship is off the west coast of Mexico. Rebecca works in youth activities. But on the morning of March 22nd, she doesn't show up for her shift. Ship personnel search the vessel. They review security footage. The last confirmed sighting shows Rebecca in a crew area during the early morning hours. In public reporting, that last confirmed sighting is described as CCTV footage. She appears to be on the phone, then she walks out of frame. She's never seen again. The ship is registered in the Bahamas. So, Bahamian sign. Authorities lead the investigation. Searches involve ship personnel and maritime authorities, but Rebecca Coriam is never found. Her family files a civil claim. They question the investigation. They want more clarity around what happened. In 2016, the claim is settled out of court, but a settlement does not answer the central question. It closes a legal process. It doesn't necessarily close the case. Some claims mention additional or undisclosed footage. Others mention disputed personal items and conflicting accounts. But those specifics are not confirmed in the facts we're treating as verified here. What we know for certain is this: Rebecca disappeared. What we don't know is how or why.
August 28th, 2004. Merrian Carver boards Celebrity Cruises Mercury in Seattle. She's 40 years old. The ship is bound for Alaska with stops in Juneau, Skagway, Ketchikan, and Prince Rupert. The final destination is Vancouver. According to Alaska State Troopers, Merrian was last seen the evening of August 28th by a cabin attendant. The cruise line confirmed she did not disembark at any of the ports of call. She had no room service after August 28th, and it could not be confirmed whether she got off the ship at the end of the cruise in Vancouver on September 3rd. Some of her belongings were found in her cabin. She reportedly did not board her return flight. Merrian Carver simply vanished. In later discussion of cases like this, questions are sometimes raised about timing and notification. But what's certain is this: once time passes, any trail becomes harder to follow. Speculation includes overboard, self-harm, or leaving the ship unnoticed, and some later claims exist in public conversation. But in the confirmed record we're using here, her fate remains unknown. 4 cases, 4 disappearances, different ships, different years, different oceans, but the same pattern. Someone is there one moment, gone the next. So let's talk about what typically happens when someone is reported missing at sea, because understanding the process helps explain why these cases can be so hard to resolve. When a passenger or crew member is reported missing, ship protocol generally begins with an internal search: cabins, decks, public areas. If the person isn't found, the ship reviews available information, including security footage, where applicable, and begins speaking to people who may have seen the person. If it becomes likely the person is not on board, the ship alerts the relevant maritime authorities. But in international waters, response time and coordination can be complicated by distance and jurisdiction. And the ocean is vast. A person in the water can be extremely difficult to spot, even in daylight. That leads to another question. If speed matters so much, what slows things down? Sometimes it's human. People assume someone is asleep, or in their cabin, or somewhere on board. Sometimes it's structural. A ship runs on routines, and disrupting those routines requires certainty that something is wrong, and sometimes it's administrative. Who gets notified first, and how quickly information moves can depend on where the ship is, and what flags and jurisdictions apply. Some families and advocacy groups criticize the cruise industry in general terms, arguing that delayed reporting or limited transparency can worsen outcomes. The point is simple. In the ocean, every minute matters. Now let's look at three broad theories, not to assign blame, not to point fingers, but to understand what might explain disappearances like these. Theory 1, accidental overboard. This is the most common explanation in many discussions. A slip, a misjudgment, risk-taking near a railing, and the incident's report notes that when a cause can be established, it is often intentional or connected to reckless behavior. But here's the counterpoint. Modern cruise ships are designed with safety features, including high railings and controlled access in many areas. Accidents can happen, but accident is not an answer you can apply automatically without case-specific support. Theory 2, self-harm or personal crisis. This is sensitive and difficult. In some cases, people may be struggling, and the ocean is final. But we do not have confirmed facts here that allow us to assign this explanation to any of these individuals with certainty. So it remains a category, not a conclusion. Theory 3, third-party involvement or concealment. This is the theory families fear the most. In Amy Bradley's case, her family believes abduction is possible. In George Smith's case, public reporting has long discussed the possibility of foul play. In Rebecca Coriam's case, people debate what the available information does and does not show. But here's the problem. Without definitive proof, this remains unproven, and proving third-party involvement at sea is difficult, because proof requires evidence that may not survive the environment, witnesses, forensics, a timeline you can verify. In these cases, we don't have enough confirmed material to close the loop. Here's what we know for certain. 4 people disappeared in connection with cruise ships. Searches were conducted, investigations were opened, but none of the 4 were ever found. Amy Lynn Bradley is still listed as missing by the FBI. George Smith's case remains disputed. In public reporting, Rebecca Coriam was never located after her last confirmed sighting. Merrian Carver's disappearance is documented by Alaska State Troopers, but her fate is unknown. And here's what we don't know. What happened in the final moments? Whether they fell, jumped, or were taken. Whether any single explanation fits all 4 cases, or whether each case has its own truth. This is where thalassophobia becomes more than a word. The fear of deep water isn't only about what's beneath the surface. It's about what the ocean can remove from us and how little it returns. The cruise industry can point to scale. Millions of passengers travel, and most return safely. But for the families of Amy, George, Rebecca, and Merrian, statistics don't solve anything. Their loved ones are gone. And the question remains, how can someone vanish from a modern cruise ship surrounded by people, systems, and routine and still leave behind almost no trace? That can be confirmed. If you made it this far, leave a comment with the case you want covered next. And if you want more documented investigations like this, subscribe.